Can you envision a scenario where Darnold beats out Lance this summer?
Yes. Now, I can envision a scenario where Lance beats out Darnold, but absolutely, yes. Yes. If Lance isn't on it, Darnold's going to, and it's going to be interesting. Lance, I don't think they're going to be sharing reps with the first two. I think this is a super highway for Lance to take this job. But if he's struggling and he doesn't show any improvement, if he's still scattershot, if his mechanics, if he still locks out his front leg too soon, if he still has a wobbly throw, and Sam Darnold is just quietly, looking functional on the second team, people are going to talk about it. You and I'll see it, and the locker room will see it. And frankly, I feel like Trey's been trying really hard, almost too hard, to get the vets on the team to like him. What if they just like Darnold? Darnold's closer to their age. They probably know him already. It's possible he could win over the locker room and that Trey Lance would be screwed again. The locker room pretty much chooses. So we'll see what George Kittle decides. You know what I mean? Let's see who George Kittle likes better.
If you had to term it, if you had to describe how the locker room feels about Trey Lance, I mean, this is hard. This is a hard thing because everybody's pro everybody, right? So nobody's standing in the middle of the room going, that guy can't. No, you're not going to see it. It's not going to be as obvious as that. It's going to manifest itself in far more subtle ways. How do you think the locker room feels about Trey Lance?
I think they feel that he was handed the job and they don't appreciate it. And I think they feel that no matter how nice he is or how hard he tries or how professional he is, he didn't earn it. And that's a really short-sighted way of looking at things. But Jimmy Garoppolo won his first 5 starts. Brock Purdy won his first 7 starts. Trey's going to have to do something like that. If he gets the job to start week 1 and wins his first 3 starts, I think they'll like him. But until he does something like that, they'll always nitpick him and say, well, he's just not ready and he doesn't have this and he didn't play enough of that. And maybe they're right, but they have no patience. And I think they felt lied to a little bit. The Niners re-signed Trent Williams. They re-signed Kyle Juszczyk and said, we're going all in. And then they traded for Trey Lance and they're like, whoa, we re-signed to play with Jimmy. So I think there's been a confusion here. And now that Jimmy's finally gone, Trey Lance finally has an opportunity to take the team. But at the same time, they like Brock now. So I just feel like the Niners brought him in to replace their friend. Everyone loved Jimmy Garoppolo. And they resented Trey for that. It's not Trey's fault. It was never Trey's fault. The Niners put him in a tough position. There's nothing inauthentic about him as a guy. He's like a 22-year-old trying to make friends with a bunch of 30-year-olds that don't want to be his friend. Pretty much is the way I look at it. It's a tough position to be in.
It is. It absolutely is. So you could envision Darnold beating out Lance. You could also envision Lance beating out Darnold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that what is going to be success for Trey? Is it going to be wins or is it going to be points?
Wins.
Like, what is the fair evaluator? I've heard people say to me, hey man, if Trey starts the first month and he's 4-0, okay. I'm like, okay, then he's not coming out. And then I've heard other people say, well, wait a second. No. If they were scoring 35 a game with Brock Purdy, if the Niners are scoring 30 a game and maybe they're winning, maybe they're losing, that will be the determining factor. And that will keep Trey in there, not necessarily the W's. Is it points or is it wins or is it a combination thereof? Is it practice? What's going to keep Trey in the number 1 spot?
Well, it's also Sam. It's also Brock and Sam. Like if Darnold's terrible, that keeps Trey in the number 1 spot. And if Brock's more injured than we realize and it takes him a longer time to come back than we understand, then that keeps Trey in the number 1 spot. So all those things factor in. But like to your point, Brock was winning and scoring 35 plus points a game. So if he makes a full recovery and he's ready, it's almost nothing Trey Lance can do to keep Brock from playing. So we'll have to see what Brock looks like when he makes his full recovery. I'm still a little skeptical, I guess, that his arm's going to be what it was.
I mean, it almost got ripped out. I mean,
exactly. So it was a very violent injury.
Yeah, it was a very violent injury. And if you told me that he lost 10% of his zip or maybe a little bit of his accuracy, that to me, that wouldn't be like, what? No way. Right. I can't believe it. It's very plausible. So I think all bets are off as far as Brock. It's all wait and see. Yeah, if Brock comes back to where he was, is there a competition or is it just his job?
No, I mean, he won 2 playoff games. There's nothing Trey Lance or Sam Darnold can do in a practice or a preseason game that supersedes that. So Brock's still on a heater. He never lost. He's like Tua last year. Remember Tua was on that streak? Right. He never lost. He got hurt. And so he gets to keep playing and keep this streak going. and we'll see what he looks like. But there's a possibility that when he gets his job back, he won't exactly be the same, and it won't all work the way it used to work. But we'll see. We're going to get to see that eventually.
How amazing would it be if Sam Darnold became a great player? I mean, some people, I thought they went with Darnold because they couldn't afford Mayfield, but then I looked at the numbers, and Darnold may actually wind up getting more than he
I like the choice. I would rather go with Darnold than Mayfield. He's more mobile. He's bigger. I don't like Mayfield. There's something unlikable about Mayfield. Darnold, he's just a guy, keeps his mouth shut, works hard. I mean, he's been on bad teams, but Mayfield, when he ridiculed the Giants for drafting Daniel Jones, like, who the hell are you to talk about other quarterbacks like that? Sam Darnold's not that kind of guy.
Mayfield doesn't seem like he would fit in their locker room.
No,
as much as
Bosa already ridiculed him.
I like Mayfield's talent more than Darnold's, but I don't know about his personality. What do you who do you think really likes Darnold? Do you think it's Wilkes? Do you think it's McCaffrey? Do you think it's Kyle? Is it John? Kyle. Who is sitting there pounding the table saying, Darnold?
I bet a lot of them like Darnold. I bet Fred Warner grew up an hour away from Darnold. I bet Fred liked him. I bet Kyle's on record as liking him. I bet the Niners gave him a really high draft grade when he was coming out of USC. He was a big deal coming out of USC.
Yeah, he was.
Before entering his last year at USC, people thought he was going to be the number one pick, and then Baker Mayfield edged him out for it. But to me, he's been on bad teams, and he's developed bad habits where he tries to do too much because his teams are losing. Now the Niners just have to get him to buy into doing less. Just do less. Get the ball out of your hands in 2.5 seconds. Don't try to make a play because you're not a playmaker. You're really not. You got some legs and you can sort of get out of trouble, but don't try to do it all yourself. Let Christian do what Brock Purdy did. Watch Brock Purdy, and I think Sam Darnold probably can do. He's a better athlete than Brock Purdy. Frankly, watch his tape from last year in Carolina. Tell me the last time the Niners had a quarterback who could air it out down the field like Sam Darnold does. Now Trey can, but Trey hasn't played.
Right. The only thing about Darnold that's so frustrating is tons of turnovers and low completion percentage.
Especially when he holds onto the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
especially when he holds on the ball.
And then here's the other question. I thought Jimmy played his best ball with the Niners this last year. I thought he took care of the ball better. I thought he threw the ball way more. I think his touchdown to interception ratio was good. How much do you think the Niners are putting into Darnold's season last year? Because last year, statistically, that final stretch where he went 4-2 in those final 6 games was his best statistical stretch as a pro.
And he didn't have Christian McCaffrey. They traded him. He was throwing at Terrace Marshall and DJ Moore, good players, but he's playing well. He was playing really well, and he was playing. Now you put him on a really good team. I mean, it's fair to feel like if you can just rebuild his confidence and help him with his decision making, you got something here. Let me just give you a stat. I was looking at because I was watching his film today from last year, and I noticed a lot of play action, and I wanted to look at the splits, play action, non-play action. And it wasn't anything eye-opening, but right beneath that on Pro Football Reference is the time in the pocket splits for his career. When he throws the ball in less than 2.5 seconds, his completion percentage is 68.8. When he takes more than 2.5 seconds, it's 49.5. What a split for his career. That's for the rating when he gets rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less, 90. When he holds onto it longer, 64. So this is a guy who's been trying to do too much. You don't have to do that here, man. It's not about the quarterback on the 49ers. So we'll see what he can do. I felt like last year he was doing a better job of not doing too much. Last year.
Man, that is a really interesting stat. So if he holds less than 2.5 seconds, he's completing nearly 70%.
Be a point guard. Yes, 70 for his career.
More than 2.5 seconds, he's
below 50%,
which is like
49.5. Yeah, just start right there, Sam. Do less and work from there. Because I feel like when he came out, he wants to be Patrick Mahomes, or people said he was Andrew. I don't know, man, but you're so not that. Just be Brock Purdy. Just be Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Get rid of the ball.